Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Russia states its preconditions for negotiating a peace treaty and an end to the hostilities in Ukraine, it seems like. And let's see if the Ukrainians accept it. This article comes from Reuters from today, July 14th, 2022. And this is the title. Russia says Ukraine must recognize, and I'm quoting, territorial reality, end quote, for peace. Well. A top Russian official said on Thursday that Moscow would respond positively should Kiev be ready to resume peace negotiations, but that Ukraine must accept the territorial realities of the situation, the Interfax news agency reported. Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Andrei Rudenko said Kiev must provide a clear response to Moscow's proposals that Ukraine accept non-aligned and non-nuclear status in order to strike a peace deal. President Zelensky would also have to recognize Russia's control over Crimea and the status of the breakaway People's Republics in Donetsk and Luhansk, Interfax reported a day after Kiev ruled out territorial concessions. Negotiations on possible peace deal have been stalled since tentative rounds of talks between the two sides broke down just weeks into the conflict. Well, that's when the Ukrainians went, I think that's the one occurred in Belarus, and the other one occurred in Turkey, I think, Turkey, my bad, I think in Ankara. And the second one in Ankara, the Ukrainians came with some proposals that indicated that they will be eager to be a little bit more flexible, which the Russians said, yeah, okay, that's good, we can negotiate, and good, we advanced towards that. Now that envoy, the negotiating team of Ukraine, returned from Ankara. And then by the time they went back to Ankara, returned to Ukraine, from Ankara, they returned to Ukraine, their sponsors says, what are you talking about? Tell them nothing. Tell them that that was just a, stupid thing to do. We don't agree to anything. So that's when they really stalled. So here it is. It says that, I'm quoting, Russia's approach remains the same, which is true. A future agreement should fix the neutral, non-aligned and nuclear-free status of Ukraine and recognize the existing territorial realities, including the current status of Crimea as well as Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, Rudenko said. He missed the denazification and demilitarization of Ukraine, but I think that the militarization is the nuclear-free status, but I don't think that's enough, because you can have a big army without having nuclear weapons and still cause a lot of problems. Now, he also blamed Ukraine for the collapse of talks and said the West had forbidden Kiev from negotiating. I do not have evidence to support that, but I can tell you that all the information I gathered, all the statements made, all the decision made, the support provided lead to this conclusion. As I said, it doesn't mean that that's what happened, but it was not a coincidental that when that team of Ukrainians, negotiators, returned from Ankara to Kiev, the next day, so let's say tonight it was the conference or whatever was the meeting, the next day when they started talking about it and they came in front of the cameras and, they said, no, that's done, nothing. And then you heard the sponsors, in this case, in my assessment, Great Britain, I think is the main one, used to be, I don't know what happens now. And they said, no, nobody interferes with Ukraine's decision to, negotiate, nobody asked you. Why do you just intervene? It was like, I didn't steal it. Hey, nobody asked you if you did. So that's kind of like that. And then the Ukrainians said, oh, we'll not accept any territorial, no, we're not going to give any territories to Russia and so on. And the same thing was the communique coming from, statements coming from Great Britain. It was very, very, I don't want to say coincidental, because I don't think it was coincidental, but it looked like both in the same time. No other ones. No, the Germans did not do that. The Americans did not do that. The Brits and the Ukrainians in the same 3 hours of the morning. And it says here that Ukraine Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba on Wednesday ruled out ceding territories, giving territories to Russia as part of any peace deal, and said no peace talks were underway between Moscow and Kiev. And I'm quoting, "The objective of Ukraine is in this war is to liberate our territories." But how in your territories when those guys don't want to be with you? And if you look historically, we go to Russia first and restore our territorial integrity. That's a different story. But what if they don't want to come back? What are they going to do? You're going to send them to Russia? How are you going to convince them? By banning their language again, or staying banned, destroying their political parties, the mass media, outlets, the media outlets in Russian language? Are you going to do that? Are you going to keep it that way? I mean, why would they come back? What do you have to offer? You already signed the Minsk agreement, and you remember what's in that. There was greater autonomy for those within Ukraine. It was not separate, within Ukraine. And what happened? They sent the tanks over there, they being Kiev. So yeah, they love those people, their people. The objective, okay, I already know that. It says the full sovereignty in the east and south of Ukraine. So is to liberate our territories, restore our territorial integrity, and full sovereignty in the east and south of Ukraine. To do what? According to Russians, commit genocide. That's what they claim. The Russians claim that, saying that the Ukrainian military killed about 15,000, almost between 12 and 15,000 Russian people in Ukraine from 2014 to 2022. Is that a fact? People say that. They say that. I don't know. Like these guys say whatever they want to say. A return to negotiations has been hampered by an intensification of shelling on both sides of the front line and by Russian strikes on cities. If your army is there, what do you want them to do? I mean, really. Did you notice that the Ukrainians are fighting within their cities? Mostly. So yeah, what do you want? You hide behind those, what do you want me to do? How can I shoot at you? How can I invade you? Just let you be? That's not an option. It's shelling on both sides of the front line and by Russian strikes on cities. Despite its insistence, it does not target civilians. On Thursday, a Russian strike on the central city of Vinnytsia killed at least 20 people. Well, they tell us what these guys did, and 98% of the articles I find, obviously in the Western corporate media and Ukrainska Pravda and the New Voice of Ukraine, which and some other ones, Republic World and other ones, is they say the Russians are missing. Whenever they hit something, if they hit something, civilians, populated with civilians and residential areas. They never hit what's military infrastructure or anything like that. Not never, but as I said, 98% of the time. But the Ukrainians are almost always hitting, just military and never casualties in the civilians, never. So, and why would you ask me, or maybe you ask me, maybe you don't, but maybe I ask myself, why would I use only the Western and this kind of outlets here? Because if you use the other one and you try to do it here on YouTube, things might happen. That's one thing. The other thing is always excellent to see that how hypocritical and how childish their articles are, and I can always point out and ridicule their level because they think that, okay guys, you deserve below 86 IQ articles, that's what we're gonna give. So that's why I pick those guys. Not because I like them or I like the other ones. It's just these guys are easy to figure out that these guys are just BSing. Most of them. So thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.